So we're going to be speaking about belief and how belief creates our world, and particularly how belief is a very, very powerful tool of indoctrination, manipulation when it comes to religion. Now, I'm just looking on Google for a refresher, just so I can show you guys. I'm asking, is Christianity a cult? Because if any body under normal circumstances is asked to describe a cult, then unless they are versed in this variety of stuff, most people wouldn't say that Christianity or religions in general are cults, because they consider that all culture is a secret society like the Masons and all that sort of thing, and they're doing all different sorts of evil things, you know. But you know, culture, the word culture you know, derives from cult. And so let's have a look what cult is, yeah, shall we? So I've asked, is Christianity a cult? And then it says here, what's the difference between a cult and religion? There is a priesthood which is open to any normally male person with the necessary commitment. Religions therefore seek a mass following. Cults, however, rely on secret or special knowledge which is revealed only to initiates by the cult's founder or his or her chosen representatives. So all the cult is very nefarious and secret, right? Okay, so obviously written by a religious person or a Christian. Now, if I just put cult definition instead of including Christianity, then cult it is described here as system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. Well, that's Christianity. A person or thing that is popular or fashionable among a particular group or section of society. Well, that's Jesus, isn't it? Or Muhammad. And so they're cults, people. Let's have a look at one more, shall we? What is the meaning of cult in Christianity? Christian cults are new religious movements that have a Christian background but are considered to be theologically deviant by members of other Christian structures. Well, in that case, look how many deviants there are of Christianity. How many different churches have you got? You know, Pentecostal or the Trinity, or Methodist and Catholic, and just hundreds of them, isn't there? And so they're all cults. They're all cults. And what Christians reckon, what Christians? Probably the Catholic Church. They reckon that any system of belief about Jesus or God outside of Catholicism is a cult and can't be trusted. So look, we go round in circles, don't we? But for sure, most rational people will accept that all religions are cults due to their veneration and their belief in dogma and the following of, you know, certain leaders. So I was speaking in a comment yesterday in relation to how I have never ever even remotely felt the presence of anything holy, spiritual, God, Jesus, nothing in these supposed houses of God. I love churches and I love cathedrals and old buildings in general because of their brilliance, the architecture, the Masonic genius that's gone into them, and of course all the symbolism. So I've been in churches in many places all around the world, and I always look very, very carefully at all the symbology. I look at how the buildings are built, and I learn architecturally how these buildings, these huge cathedrals, are built with all of the science involved. And you know, it's a wonderful thing. And of course, we can't look at any of these buildings without being wrapped up in the Masons, because you know, the Masons, that's where they derive from. The Masons were stonemasons, and because they had very, very esoteric knowledge and skill of geometry and science and math and all that stuff, the general public didn't have that. So they were very highly regarded. And of course, then it's natural to form just clubs. You form your own club, don't you? And then, of course, it's got labelled as a cult. But I'm sure, you know, it's no more of a cult than any religion's a cult. And but when I've been in these places, I've meditated. I did a series of videos, and it was kind of like a dozen meditations in a dozen churches. And I never even came close to any spiritual insight or feeling, nothing at all, just vacuous. Vacuous, there's nothing there. There is nothing in these houses of God. What there is in these houses of God is a sense of awe from the Masonic perspective, because they are exhibits of genius, human intellect. That's what they are, and they've got wonderful acoustics in there. There are a lot of things, you see, all compiled into one. You've got the symbology, you've got the power structure, you've got the amazing architecture, you've got the acoustics for the resonance of the choir or the organs and all different sorts of things. You've got a lot of stuff going on, but there is no God, no Jesus in these places. But you see, what I do, I look to feel. I can't believe, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's not within me to blind belief and have faith. So I have to look at something more steeped in reality. And I look at what I feel and what my mind tells me intuitively. And whenever I am out in nature, even just sitting by these gorgeous plants which I've got all around my home, they are exhibiting a vibration of genius and life and thriving and agedness and God. And when I go out into the natural world and I'm under the sky and I look up at the clouds, I feel and see God. When I am in a wood, or it doesn't have to be a large expanse or a beautiful wood, it can just be a small garden. I'm in the presence of God. Why? Because God is everywhere. God is genius. God is alive. And anybody that discounts that God is in the plants and in the leaves and in the birds and in the bees, then is a complete fool, an indoctrinated one. How can then all these things not be God when God is said to have created them? Of course, they are God. The cosmos is God. That level of genius is God, and anybody who is spirited will feel it. Anybody who's religious won't feel it at all. I've never known a religious person to tell me that they've been feeling such wonderful things coming from nature. No, it's everlasting. That would be blasphemy, that would. And so, you know, that in itself is vile and abhorrent, to discount this wonderful world which the Bible tells you to do, because we're vile and we are vermin, and the only thing that's ever, you know, going to give us any salvation is if we beg like, you know, pathetic muppets every day of our lives to enter into some sort of fiction. I don't need the fiction. No, I've got God all around me. It's within me and all around me, always has been. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, people, and that's what I'm saying. So lots of people, they don't grok what I'm saying, and they're looking at the words and, you know, yeah, but you say this and you say that, well, what about this and what? And I say, just feel it yourselves. If you can't feel God, you don't know God. It's as simple as that. If you don't feel brimming with life, consciousness and vitality and cosmic genius, which is God, you know, we don't have to label, oh, this is Allah up in the sky, or this is Jehovah. What does Jehovah? You can't feel Jehovah. Jehovah's a thing. No, he's not a thing. Jehovah and Allah, they're just concepts. They're just figments of our imagination. But if there's any reality in this world, then you can feel it, you see. Because if you can't feel it, then it's not real, is it? Simple. It really is simple. You see, you know, I speak like this from a person and a perspective that has just opened and just felt my way through the world and listened to all that's been said, and very easily discounting the bullshit that I've never actually come upon in my life. I've never come upon, you know, these things that the religious people speak about in that context. I've come upon them in varying other contexts, which of course I write deeply about. And I would think that anybody that's really interested in self-discovery and really is a little bit open-minded about their religions in general, human psychology and all these sort of things, then reading my book is like a crash course on all of this, and it will open up your minds and maybe your hearts. But if you are religiously dogmatic, then you'll reject everything I'm saying. All of my astral encounters, all of my other sort of supernatural encounters, unless it's like the one about Jesus coming to speak with me, or Jehovah speaking to me, maybe the devil, everything else will be discounted because it's demonic and you're told not to, you know, look at those things, not to read those things, and ooh, don't go, just Jesus. And you know, it's a cult. God damn it, can't you see it's a cult? How they brainwash you, indoctrinate you, and prevent you from looking inside your own hearts and minds and looking at other literature. That's the last thing they ever want you to do. That's the last thing a cult ever wants anyone to do. Be open-minded and look at what the options are. Can't we see, people? Good God, come on. I mean, in one breath, I want to decry and condemn the fool for being embroiled in this stuff. But I realise how powerful indoctrination, propaganda, occultism, all these things, culture, how culture from a very young age in the Western world has indoctrinated our babies, our children, from the tiniest little bodies when they're sitting before the stage in a school nativity play, brainwashing them. Well, of course, it's a powerful thing, and I get it, and so, you know, I have to hold back a little bit. But by the time we become adults and we're supposed to have minds of our own, well, if you do have a mind of your own, then it's time to start using it. That's what I'm saying. And so it's you I'm condemning, it's you I'm demeaning, because really, you know, if you're over 25, come on, people, you know, it's time to start using your own mind. And so that's what all my videos are about, opening up your eyes, opening up your heart, opening up your intuition, and feeling for stuff yourself and getting your own answers to everything. Stop relying on anybody else, because there's a billion different answers out there for a billion different subject matter, and, you know, a billion different answers to the same questions. And it really is just a minefield. You've just seen, I've just looked at 3 or 4 definitions of cult, and every single one of them is different. And I could spend all day looking at that definition, and I'll go round and 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 round until I get a headache, I'd be exhausted, and I'd just fall asleep standing on my feet. But I wouldn't come out with any truth. So what do we have to do? We have to look for our own truth. Well, what does a cult mean to me? Well, I mean, when I go to church and I feel that the pastor's trying to, you know, get hold of my energy and try to, you know, tell me that I must believe in this and I mustn't do that and I mustn't do that because that's all evil and that's all wrong. A cult, hello, ding, 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 cult. But if you go to somewhere where people are just sitting around, they're just going, so what do you think? I mean, I've had this thought and I've had this feeling, and like, you know, if I relate this to biblical scripture, and kind of like, you know, it feels like this and it feels like that. What does anybody else feel about this? Oh, I feel, and, you know, I think, well, if you do think and if you do feel, well, your opinion is valid then. But if you say, oh, praise Jesus and Jesus is your saviour, and cult, good God. Good golly, Miss Molly. So, why is it that spiritual people can feel God all around? You look into your child's eyes and you see God. My pet squirrel, I look at that pet squirrel and I see God in every tiny molecule of its beautiful little body. I see God in all these creatures and all these leaves and twigs, because they are unfathomable genius. And so if we have one definition, which is something that we will never comprehend, then why can't it be nature? Why can't it be the human body? Why can't we all be God? And that's what I say in my book, We Are All God. It is all God. Every single thing is in the mind of God. Why does God have to be just selective here and there? You can only find him through certain scriptures which don't make sense and they're contradictory, and most of them are evil. And you go, well, that's evil. You're supposed to be loving and kind and endearing and forgiving, but you're talking evil here. No. People, wake up, wake up. It's like the German National Socialist Party, you know, with all their propaganda. Lots of people was like, I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying that shit. It sounds a bit evil to me. But most people, oh yeah, hail the Führer, hail the Führer. And they just fell into it, didn't they? And, you know, this is how easily human consciousness is beguiled. And as soon as you start to gather a group, then it's very, very easy to get more recruits. It's difficult to start to get a few people, you know, to fall in line or to have some sort of an allegiance. But as soon as the ball starts rolling, it snowballs. And we've all seen this stuff. So what I say is, anybody that thinks they're a Christian, ask yourself, why are you a Christian? What is it? Oh, well, my mum and my dad, they were... Oh, okay. Do you think you've been indoctrinated? Well, they took me to church and they told me to read the Bible, and they always used to read the Bible, and we always have to say grace, and this, that, and the other. Oh, sounds like you was in a cult. To be fair, just saying. Sounds like you was in a cult from a very early age, yeah? So... is there any other reasons why you believe in Jesus, God, Allah? You know, any of these? Is there anything you felt? Have you ever had a spiritual or religious experience? And so a couple of videos ago, I'm saying, look, if anybody's had a legitimate experience, then it's your prerogative, it's your right to have a belief system or faith in something or lay claim to something. I've had these experiences. And so I know that there's something there. I know that the cosmos is supernatural. That's why I wrote a book about it. But I'm looking at all the options because I am actually an open-minded, free, autonomous being. And I don't have any biases or leanings. Nobody could manage to program me in that manner. My saving grace probably that my mother, for the benefit of me, killed herself when I was 4 years old, and then I had to work things out for myself because I never had any nurturing. I was shipped around from children's home to children's home, and I found that the only thing that I could ever rely on was myself, because nobody else or anything else could be trusted. And so I saw through all the bullshit, people, from a very early age. Now lots of people don't have that gift. If you have had wonderful homes and you've gone through the system like they want you to, through your kindergarten, through your schools and colleges and universities, oh, you're deep in it, you're deep in it. It's going to take a lot to get out. And, you know, one of the things that's going to get you out is if you fall very, very hard and deep, and then you'll fall apart. All of your concepts and beliefs will fall apart, and then you will awaken, and then you'll raise yourself back up as an awoken being, and you'll see this mirage for what it is, and you'll see how you've been deceived all of your lives. And it's a marvellous thing, and that's why they call it spiritually awakening, because you wake up to your spirit, you wake up to spirits. So we have to think. We have to educate ourselves, but most of all we have to be open-minded. If at all possible for religious people to be open-minded, it is very, very difficult. And as soon as somebody starts to pick at their religion, faith, cult, then it's a natural response which has been built into them over all the years to fend off everything as if it's evil, because it tells you in the Bible, oh, evil will come, you know, and they'll tell you this and they'll tell you that. Don't believe them, don't believe them, don't believe anybody. Oh, get away from me, you're evil one. You're talking about astral projection, leaving the body, that's evil. You're talking about spirits of another cult or another belief system, no, that's evil. No, 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 no. Jesus is the one, God's the one, Allah's the one, it's the only one. Jehovah's the one, there's nobody else, there's nobody else. There's one God. Oh, but isn't the 4,000 religions and gods on the back? Oh no, this is the only one, it's the only one. The evil's all around me. And that's how it works. You just keep hypnotising yourself, indoctrinating yourself, propagandizing yourself. And that's it. Counting these beads in a mesmerising, repetitive way. It's just hypnosis, people. If you watch something about hypnosis, then they'll tell you how that works. They'll tell you just to get very, very bored initially, and so you're like this. So you're so bored, and then your mind is open to suggestion, and then after years of suggestion, then you're in a cult, people. So when you start going to a church when you're young, you're not interested in all this shit, and you're bored, and you're looking around, and every time you're like this, your mother or your father's like, and you're like, oh yes, Dad. And you start looking around, but while you're looking around and you're bored, what the pastor's saying is filtering into your unconscious, and it's going into your head, and little by little you're walking out these churches without even knowing you're being programmed. Can you see how it works, people? Can you see that what I'm saying is entirely logical and reasonable and rational? All that I'm saying is premised in logic and reason. I'm not putting things out the air, and I'm not fantasizing, and I'm not building anything new. I'm just looking at the world from an awoken human being, and if that is new and scary to you, well, you'll close anything else out then, won't you? And you'll just stay within your little bubble, your little cotton wool bubble. But really, life is passing you by, and all the wonderful things that you could be learning about, you could be feeling, you could be open to an experience, you'll never experience any of that, because the whole world is evil, except in what's in that book. Just look at it, just look how I'm demeaning it, how I'm just caricaturing it. Is it not true? Is it not true? Can you not see the ridiculousness of it? And then, if you've got a Muslim sitting next to a Christian, and they're both, and then you're the one's going to think, fucking idiots, retards, they've got no idea. This is the real God, this is the true God. But they're exactly the same. So don't you think that the logic is wrong, the reasoning is wrong in both of these people? You should be thinking, well, maybe my reasoning and logic is fucked up as well as that person, because that person's certainly fucked up. And so I'm doing exactly the same as him. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Let me see if I can step outside of my indoctrination, if at all possible, and look at myself, look at my cult, look at all these people around me, and then just let me listen to other people. Let me listen to a bunch of atheists speaking. Let me listen to a bunch of logicians. Let me listen to a bunch of philosophers. What have they got to say about it? Then all of a sudden you'll start to go, that's interesting, that sounds logical, that sounds reasonable. My cult doesn't sound reasonable, doesn't sound logical, there's no logic there. It just sounds like hypnosis, to be fair. So, human being. And this is why most people want to stay asleep. It's too complicated, too convoluted. You need to put too many hours of your life into it. I've put 14 years of my life. I don't do anything else. And if you want to go down the pub with your mates and have a crack and go to football and play hockey, or, you like to go to the movies, the silver screen, to get indoctrinated by whatever the latest fad is coming out of Hollywood, all these things, well, you think you've got a life doing that. You've not got your life, you have their life. You are running on their operating system. You only have your life when you step outside of that and you become automated in your own right. And then you start picking and choosing what you want to learn. And you don't listen to any red bells, and you don't join any cults, and you just listen. You listen. And you just absorb information. And then very quickly you'll start to see that, well, nobody really is making any sense. They're all repeating what someone said, and most of them are just repeating what they've heard on the news or what they've heard in the church. And what I did for 6 solid months, investigating why Christians felt and thought the things they did, I found them to be completely vacuous. Nothing there. Just Maya. Just illusion, delusion, belief, faith. You know, just look at the definition in the Bible. This is what I've done. Sorry, not in the Bible, because there is no definition. In the dictionary, you look for the definition of faith and belief, and you follow one word after the word, after another, after another, after another, what these things mean, and everything just falls through your fingers. Every single word, you put a word in the dictionary, and then you go, what that is, oh, it says this. Well, see what that word means then. And then, oh, that word means this. And you know, if a word means another word, then look at what this word says, and this word will mean another word. And then look at what that word says, well, that word will mean another word. And before you know it, you will discover that you've gone round in a circle. You're back where you started. Words just mean words. All we're doing is just eating our tail. We're just spoon-feeding ourselves Maya. It's illusion all the time, day in, day out. That's all it is. We've got to step outside of that, and then we have to start feeling this world with our pure God consciousness. And we ask ourselves, well, what's the language of pure God consciousness? And I've discovered that it's intuition. And then you go, okay, intuition, yeah, because intuition tells me something very, very different to what my logic and reasoning tells me. And so you investigate and you have a relationship with intuition, and you get deeper and deeper into that, and you have more of an allegiance to it, and you give it more respect, and then it will start to tell you unfathomable things about this cosmos. And then you'll know that intuition is the language of God, and then you'll know how to speak with God via your intuition. You won't speak with God in the Bible. You won't speak with God in the church. You won't speak with God by being a member of any of these cults. You will only speak to God when you close all that stuff out and you go within into your calm, sedentary state of mind, and then you start listening to that distant voice. And initially all you're going to get is dogma, ego. And this is why we have to meditate. This is the power of meditation, because the meditation will close all the doors on all of that stuff. And then ultimately you'll be left in a room alone, and there'll be nothing there except awareness. And so you start from there, and then you build your world back up. Now that's not easy, people. That's difficult. That takes a long time. Most people are not interested in putting that time into it. But if you've been broken, if you have been crippled, if you have been egoically destroyed, then there'll be nothing else for you to do save build yourself up and travel that path back to well-being, because you're already on the floor. But if you're not on the floor, it's the last place you want to go, and it's the last thing you want to look into, and you never will be able to look into it to those depths, because you haven't been crucified. You see, you haven't been on death's door, and by the time you have carried your own cross, then you'll know what this world is all about. And so there's lots of interesting and useful metaphors in the Bible, in all religious scripture. There's a lot of stuff, because it's all deeply seated and premised in human psychology. Religious scriptures are the world's first human psychology. And they speak to the minions, or the public, the masses, using illustrations which are deeply premised in humanisms, in how our minds work. And so there's value in that, but we have to step outside of the inculcated nature. You see what we've got here, the inculcate. To inculcate, you keep saying and saying and saying and saying. Repetition. That's propaganda. That's hypnosis. And so by the time you've been inculcated, like in the Quran, every single line, it's about belief, belief, belief. Ooh, you better believe. And then it's pretty well like that in the Old and New Testament. And I ask myself, why are these books so deeply rooted and premised in belief and faith? Sounds like, you know, without belief and faith, they just fall down like a pack of cards, and they do. And so when you look into them, if you don't have faith and belief, and you look at it from an open-minded and intelligent perspective, you just see one convoluted story, contradicting another, and it's just like, you know, supposed to be speaking about love and God and beauty, but then you find hell, heinous acts and hate and all mixed all in, and you go, this is the fucking paradox. This just kind of worms. What can I make of it? Got to step outside of that. Well, where can I find truth? You find it within yourself. You find it in your peace of mind. You find it in your intuition. You find it in your God consciousness, which is the intelligence of the cosmos. And then when you are absolutely still and you've gotten rid of all that dogma and all that indoctrination, if it's at all possible, once you have got rid of that, then you'll be open and you'll be free to assess the world from the vantage of God consciousness. Pure consciousness, pure unadulterated consciousness. And then you'll see that this world is Maya. Like the Hindus have said, it's Maya, it's all illusion. And we build it all out of our thoughts. But because the powers that be know that this thing is Maya and it's built out of our thoughts, then what do? They build propaganda institutions. The people that own this world, the fiction of this world, they don't own the God-created facet of the world. They think they do, but they don't. What do they own? They own people's minds. That's what they own. They took ownership of people's minds. The lazy people, unintelligent people, people that just have no spirit, husks, empty vessels. They've took control of their minds and they've just programmed them. But if you are intelligent, if you are spirited, if you are an awoken being, an enlightened being, then you'll see all that for what it is. And you'll see the world in a very, very different way. But anyway, I've said a lot of things, again, in this video. And people, they'd be wise to sit down and listen and contemplate. If you're digging the garden, cleaning the car, doing your shopping, all these sort of things, and you just got AB on your headset, barely anything is going to penetrate. Because what I'm saying is too deep for you just to grasp on a cerebral conscious way, because the cerebral consciousness, the outer extremity of our consciousness, is just all the firing that's going off, with this heightened state of being, or buzz 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 buzz, and nothing penetrates. But you've got to get below that. You've got to get into the more sedative realm. You've got to get at least into the alpha realm. And if you can get into the theta realm, which is the hypnotic state, you see, if you listen to my videos whilst you are closed eyes and you're very relaxed, maybe in a darkened room, in the evening time, if you put a headset on, listen to my videos, you'll hear so much more, and you'll really hear where I'm coming from. As opposed to doing it whilst you're busy living the beta life, the beta vibration of our everyday consciousness. Anyway, I've got this book to finish, and these books, they take some time, but the thing is about these books, because they're so deep and meaningful, I'll read a couple of pages and that's kind of like, oh God, I've got to make another video. And that's my job. It really is my job. The cosmos has given me that job. It's given me the job of reading books like this, which the vast majority of people don't have the constitution for. Because I have been blessed with the constitution, I read them, I decipher what is poignant and very important, and then of course I pass it on, don't I? And a close friend of mine, of course he wants to read my book, but he's looking at it as if it's a mountain to climb. He's looking at my book as if it is a mountain to climb, because he just can't read anymore. He can only listen to audio books. And he's asking me about the audio book. And I'm like, well, I won't do it. Maybe I'll find someone that will do it, or pay someone to do it, whatever. But, you know, I'm not going to be doing it. That book, you know, will take 30 hours just to read. Can you imagine all the mistakes and everything that I'm going to make when I'm reading it? And then you need to have the right inflection, and you need to be professional to do that. And I'm not a professional audio book producer. And but yeah, this is the thing. Reading is very, very difficult. And in a few videos ago, I was going, look, you've had a month now to read the fucking book. Has anybody got anything to say about it? I'm on the second page. I've just finished the first chapter. The first chapter's only 5 pages long. But I've got the kids, and oh, my boss is calling me. Boss, yeah, boss. Okay, boss. Right, boss. Okay, boss. That was my boss. I'm going to get to your book soon. That's how it is. That's how it is, people. You know, but how many people actually have 24 hours a day disposable for themselves? Only the awoken, enlightened being who has realised that it's all futile. All that chasing, it's all futile. And so you come back to your centre, and then you have all the time in the world for anything. Anyway, that's enough for today, isn't it? Okay, lesson over. Class is finished.